Hello, everybody. Okay. Let me... Okay. Hey, Silva, welcome. Oh, really? Nabaru's probably nose deep in some manhwa or something. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Oh, geez, having connection issues. No, not the dropped frames. I'm glad I'm getting those now before I actually start the stream. I gotta find another playlist one of these days. Not that I dislike the medieval lo-fi, but like I'm itching for something new. I like to keep it up. And I like to keep it changing. You know. All right. Oh, excuse me. That was disgusting. I don't even know if the mic picked that up. Come on. There we go. It did. Oh no. So how was your week, Silva? What'd you get up to? We didn't even get to talk yesterday, so curious. What'd you get up to this week? Lacking in both volume and length? Oh, jeez. I need to step my game up. As an anime protagonist would say, I need to get my game on. Oh my gosh. Now I'm just imagining leveling in monk. Okay, that's cool. But now I'm just imagining an anime about competitive burping. Can you imagine that? An anime about like a battle shonen about burping? What do you think, Silva? Call it Belch Wars. We gotta ask Nabaru. Nabaru knows all the weird and yabai anime and manga. Gotta ask Nabaru if there's a burping anime. Gotta find out. Gotta find out if there's a burping anime. So tonight should be an interesting stream. As I said on Monday, originally I'd planned for tonight to be an Armored Core stream. But stuff happened. And I guess I'll get into it a little bit. There was this bundle on itch.io. Itch.io is a great place to get games, to get indie games, and whether it be TTRPGs, I think they have some video games, they have some software. You can get all kinds of stuff on itch.io, right? There's it. Yeah, itch.io. You can get all kinds of stuff on itch.io. Actually, I'll show this off too. So, oh wow, they're blowing through their goals. I posted about this when I found out about it, right? There is there's this bundle of games on itch.io that is TTRPGs for trans rights in Florida. I'll show a link to it. I'll probably put it in the, I don't know if I'll put it in the description or if I'll just put it in, I'll probably just put it in chat and pin it. I want this bundle to succeed because it's helping something that is really near and dear to my heart, because kind of immersion break a little bit, but I'm originally from South Florida, so when I see a TTRPG bundle that is all the proceeds to it are going to two charities that help trans youth in Florida, that has my heart, So I was telling everyone I could about this bundle of TTRPGs, and like the thing is, at least some of the ones I've been reading are incomplete, or they're in beta. They're what is called ash can editions, where they're still being worked on. And so, or they're mostly done, where like it's at the point where like you can run a game. Yeah, yeah, they really do. And like the ashcan editions of the TTRPGs are like, they're like 90% done, 98, 95% done. But there's a couple like tables or little things that they haven't had a chance to finish yet, but they wanted to get it out there and start getting people playtesting and like working on stuff. And like, thing is, so this bundle, I'll put a link to it. Let me grab a link to it. I'll put a link to it in chat, because I can put links in chat. And then can I pin it? I can't pin it from here. I have to open it up and boop 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 boop. In this. Boop 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 boop. Come on. Here we go. Boom. Pin message. I pinned a message. I should get an award for that. It's my first time doing it. So this thing, it is $5 for 505 TTRPGs. Now 506. Because I think, was it Chaosium added an expansion for, yeah, Chaosium Inc. Added an expansion for the expansion. Oh, it's a solo rule set. Alone Against the Dark for Call of Cthulhu. I still have to apply for that. I tried to, but I think I sent them the wrong image. You just have to send them. I have to send them an image of like your receipt or whatever, and then they send you the thing. I think I sent them my page I got whenever I purchased it, where I can access the things. I didn't send them the receipt. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So even if, I'm not saying this is true, but even if like half of the games were ashcan editions or like beta tested stuff that are like 90-95% done, that's still 505 games for $5. You can donate more, you can pay more. I think there's another one. There's a 5e supplement, Monsters of America. If you whatchamacallit, paid $10 or more whenever you did it. So there's an extra game there that you could get if you paid $10. But so they did this thing, right? And like in the last like 4 or 5 days since this started, right? They have raised $157,846.67. That is what they have raised. They have had to consistently increase the goal. Originally, they were shooting for raising, I think it was originally they were shooting for 50,000, and then they had to increase it to 100, and then I think after 100 they increased it. No, it doesn't go to anything politically minded. It goes to it goes directly to two charities that work directly with trans youth, with providing care and assistance to trans youth. So anyway, I found myself with a little over 500 new TTRPGs to read, right? So I started reading through some of them, right? And you know me, giant robot fan. I had to find the mech games. There are 2 mech games in the bundle. One that's finished, one that isn't. The one that isn't is like 95% done, right? And then there's also this one that's an expansion of another mech game, but the actual mech game it's an expansion of isn't in the bundle, which is kind of sad. But that mech game, I was just reading about it earlier, because I was doing research on it. Because there's a lot of people like submitted expansions and stuff in here, so they're not all standalone. Not all of them are standalone games. Some of them are expansions or hacks of other games that people have created and poured a lot of time, work, sweat, and tears into. But it's still a ridiculous quantity of content. Like, I don't know, I could read for days and not get to the bottom of this list of RPGs, right? And I was reading one of them. It was called like Supers Emerge, right? And I liked the idea, but it just felt half-baked. Like, nothing against the creator of the game, but like, it was one of those things where like you read it and you start wondering, could I do it better, right? And it, like, when I read the game page, the person said that they created the game after like 2 hours of reading this SRD for this thing, the Emerge 8 system. And they're like, I could totally make a superhero game out of it. And they just made a superhero game out of it. And so it was a rough draft, right? Kind of rough. There's only supposed to be 8 skills, but they gave 9, which kind of destabilizes the game, which is really funny. Actually really funny. But there are some things that I think they didn't grasp, because there are some things that took me a few reads of the Emerge 8 system in order to grasp about this system. And so that opened my eyes, because I clicked the link, I followed it, I researched what this Emerge 8 system was, and I learned there are people on itch.io, I don't know if they're on other sites too, that will create a game system and all the tools you need to create your own RPG, and then release those game systems and those tools into like Creative Commons or what are other licenses where they allow other people to make and sell games made using these systems. That just blew my mind, right? So I found out the person who made the Emerge 8 system had also made this other one called the Caltrip Core, which was a D4 system. And Caltrip Core was like not exactly famous, but it's been very well received and is very not well known, but like there have been 2 game jams of people like making tons of games using the Caltrip Core system. So this person I know knows what they're doing, right? And there are a bunch of games using the Caltrip Core system. But this is their newest project. Not exactly their new, but the latest game system I'd seen them working on. which was the Emergate, which is a D8 based system. Like D&D is a D20 based system. This is a D8 based system, which makes it so very different. The numbers work completely differently. And when I read this system, my brain started buzzing, right? And like, it's always dangerous when my brain starts buzzing, right? And like, I was supposed to be working on stuff for my Lancer game. I was supposed to be working on plans for my Lancer Power Ranger game or for my Lancer Sunday game, right? That's what I was supposed to be working on. But instead, I was struggling with these thoughts, this brain bug about could I make a game using the Emergate system? I was like, I think I could. At first, I was like, yo, let's make a mech game because it's me, right? And I started tinkering with it. And I realized I could theoretically make a mech game, but I don't think it would do what I want it to do. And I feel like when it comes to mech games, Powered by the Apocalypse is a much better system for mech games, and there are good mech games made with Powered by the Apocalypse when it comes to narrative mech games. And when it comes to tactical mech games, I think Lancer stands like head and shoulders above a lot of the competition for quality and capability. So it's that old thing about like, why would I homebrew together something when I could just go play a functional game that I have access to, right? And so that's where my brain was like bouncing around with that, right? And then I was like, okay, well, think about what else I like. What else could I do? And my brain was like, magical girls. Because there was only like 2 magical girl games in there. And like, I am not aromantic or anything like that. But like, after some of the experiences I've had with romance, I'm not like chomping at the bit for romantic interactions, right? And a lot of the magical girl games that came in the bundle were all about some kind of love being a core part of the characters, right? And it was like expressing that it was primarily looking at some kind of like relational love where like the characters were in love with each other and that was some source of power for them, right? And I was like, I don't really want that. And I think that there's going to be a market for people who just want the action and the excitement of a magical girl game. So at first I was like, oh, I really need to be doing something else. But then I was struggling with it. I tinkered with it for a little while. I had some ideas. I ended up deleting an entire document because I had like half of an idea and I couldn't put it all together. And then it just stayed at the back of my brain. It just stayed at the back of my brain and was buzzing. And then a few hours ago, when I should have been asleep, I woke up. And I was laying in bed, and my brain was turning over the Emergate system in my head, right? I was thinking, how would I add a certain mechanic into the game? How I would add that mechanic into the game, and then I had an idea, and I was like, that could work. That could really work, right? And I was like, okay, this could be a thing. And it's all still in rough drafts. And I spent like 45 minutes, maybe a couple hours, I don't know, time flew. Because then I was like, oh, I could do this on stream. It's like, but I wanted the stream to be Armored Core. So I was a little bit lost there, right? And I was just like, what do, right? And then I had to stop to make myself some food because I had to eat, right? And then I was like, when I was getting ready to go eat, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's lean into it. Let's make tonight dedicated to making this magical girl. Well, the working name for this project is Magical People. But yeah, this Magical People game is going to be what I'm going to do tonight. And then once this is done, I'll be able to focus back on my Lancer campaign. I'll get this into some kind of a state that I can maybe put it out for people to go play test. Got to work on figuring out how to together maybe figure out how to format character sheets. I'll probably figure that out at some point in the future, but I need to work out all the game mechanics now. And I'm not really building a world because I really don't like when a game is so explicitly tied to the world that like you can't make your own world. Because as a game master, one of my favorite parts is creating my own world that I can create custom problems and issues and threats and things in. Like Lancer, it's one thing where like I just put the characters on like the far end of the world, on the far end of space, not near any major landmarks or known quantities, and I get to create my own, essentially my own planet, right? My own star systems, my own structures with that, right? But for this, it was like I wanted to create a situation where anyone who picked this up could make a character. And then I saw that the creator Titanomaki RPG, I think. Is it how's that pronounced? Let me see that. Titanomaki RPG, yeah. That Titanomaki RPG had released a new like hack of the Emerge 8 system, which was geared towards fantasy games. So I was like, maybe this could work. And I tinkered with it a little bit. And I was like, maybe we could tinker a little bit with that tonight. I did download that. Let me. Whoop. So we'll tinker with that a little bit tonight. So there's some ideas from the fantasy version that I like. And there's some ideas from the base game that I like a little bit better. And I like my solution to some of the problems. One of the things that it didn't quite rub me the wrong way as much as it was like I felt a little bit overcomplicated. And it was primarily overcomplicated because it's one of those things that sounds like it works great on paper, but I feel like would be a pain in the butt in order to enact properly. Especially for the style of game I'm trying to create. I'm trying to create a very cinematic, fast-paced kind of game with excitement and emotion and character development. So that's what I'm trying to build. But I guess I'll explain it now. in Emerge 8, there is this concept of using chess pieces to represent your characters on a chessboard. Where your character has movement based on which chess piece you pick, and then your different attacks or abilities or powers would affect things and have different ranges, which you would choose on picking the power, ability, or ultimate. And without any way to really decide on ranges, it just felt like too loosey-goosey. I could have assigned some way to like make stuff work. But it's got some goofy stuff to it. So I'm going to use range bands for my game, which is one of the most innovative concepts I've ever seen used. And I think it's pretty neat. Gonna use so range bands is where you have close, near, far. Close is melee range, near is ranged attack range, far is like almost out of combat. And then you use different numbers of movements in order to move between the different range bands. And then you always know you are close to someone or near someone, and then as you move, things just slightly change between where they are from you. So it creates this like almost linear representation of where the characters are, which can help with simplifying where characters are, and you don't have to keep track of feats and like, do I have enough movement to get there? Well, you know what? You're near, so you can use one movement to go from near to close. Or you're far, so you're going to need to use two movement to get from whatchamacallit. Yeah, you're gonna have to use two movement. And that's pretty neat. The fantasy Emerge 8 introduces armors and weapons and equipments that do stuff for buffing damage or reducing damage or increasing your defense, and has this method for generating higher HP. And I didn't feel like that fit the schematic I was looking for, so I'm not going to use it. Just because I feel like getting equipment mixed up in the mix. Oh, I'm not going to tell you what my guesses are. I already submitted my guesses. I don't want to influence your decisions. You all need to make your own decisions. Is Hattie in chat? We'll find out on Wednesday whether our guesses were correct. Hey Nabiru, I'm glad you're here. As you can see from the title, we're making a Magical Girl TTRPG tonight. Because I learned about a really easy system for making your own TTRPG, and my brain has been buzzing and I haven't been able to get it out of my head. I have not been able to get it out of my head, and I was like, you know what, if I'm going to be having if I'm gonna be bugging about this, if this is gonna be distracting me from the other things I need to do, might as well do it on stream. Yeah, magical girl things are really quite fun. Originally when I learned about this system, because I learned that there were systems where like people produce these systems with these rules for making games, and then they release them as like Creative Commons, and they're like, yo, just give me attribution on your game and you can make a game for even for commercial purposes. And I was like, what? You can just find this whole package of rules and mechanics and then build your own homebrew game off of these rules and mechanics that all feel so much simpler than D&D? What? So I want to keep the themes really freeform. Since I'm designing, I'm not like writing a game. I'm not like planning a campaign. I'm actually creating a TTRPG system, and I want the system to be separate from the world, in that the game masters have the freedom to make the game as dark as they want. I don't want to impose on any game master how dark they have to make the world. But I have a couple caveats that I'm working on. So yeah, I guess it'd be more modern style. Once I explain how the system works, I will it'll all start to make more sense. Right? And what I want to get done tonight is I want to get the actual core mechanics and system built, so it's in a state that once I learn how to format this, I could put it out for other people to play test if they want. So that's the mode I'm going for right now. Okay. All right. All right. So let's change over. Let's get all of this going. Got that. Okay. All right. So this is the Emerge SRD. And this is developed by Titanomaki RPG. They're a great game designer, and they make amazing stuff. They made the Caltrip Core, which is a D4 system. This is a D8 system, which I think gives it a little bit more freedom, but also makes it a bit more complicated, which I like. It makes it a bit more like the Emerge 8 system is a bit more crunchy than the Caltrip Core. Okay. So this is the Emerge 8 system. It uses exclusively 8-sided dice. The characters start with 8 skills. They'll unlock 4 abilities, 2 powers, and 1. I'm going to have ultimates. But if you look at the math there, at level 1, they have the skills. Then there's 4, 5, 6, 7. So everything's in 8s. This entire system is all about 8s. So then by level 8, you'll unlock your ultimate. You just unlock one thing as you level up. I'm doing a leveling system. I still don't know how you level up yet. I'm still working out how your characters level up. I'm still tinkering with it. So you have these 8 skills, these 8 base skills. Now I'm choosing different names because I didn't like these names. But like I said, this is just a system, so you choose what fits. You have 8 skills. All the skills can be ranks 1 through 4. They all start at rank 1. And the rank is how many D8s you roll whenever you use that skill. Right, Nabiru? So you have these preset skills that you start with. I developed 8 custom ones for my game that we'll go over shortly. Whenever you go to roll, the GM sets a difficulty by selecting a number between 2 and 8. When a roll meets or beats the difficulty, it counts as 1 success. When you roll an 8, you gain a success load. That's generally referred to as exploding dice. Generally, as a GM, whenever you're setting difficulty 2 means something's easy, but it's not trivial. It's going to take some work. It's going to be more than 1. Difficulty of 4 is average. Difficulty 6 is very hard, and 8 is near impossible to accomplish. Then this is if you're trying to influence another unit, another character, another person, an NPC, whatever, and they have a defense stat between 1 and 8. I'm using defense just because it's simple. And that is the difficulty if you're trying to affect a person with something, is their defense stat. And then, like I said, everything that meets or beats the difficulty counts as a success. And then when it comes to interpreting successes, 0 successes is a failure. 1 success means you succeed at a cost. 2 successes means you accomplish exactly what you were trying to do. And 3 or more successes means you succeed and you not only succeed, but you do something more. But whenever you're building your character for character creation, you have your 8 skills, right? And you start with 1 dot in each, and then you have 8 more ranks to distribute between all of the rest of these wherever you see fit. But no one skill can go above rank 3 on character creation. But if you look at this, if a skill ever gets maxed, right, and it gets to rank 4, you can only have a max of 4 successes. So that's why it's balanced out like that, at least with a base skill ability. I mean, with a base skill roll. Then as you level up, you gain abilities. Abilities are where you take 2 of your skills and you use them together for something. And you want to know, what does the ability do? Does it improve in any way with more successes? Can you use it whenever you want, or is there some restriction, or what's it called? Yes. So the suggestions they have here is Bizarre plus Work becomes an Alchemy, or Moxie plus Breath becomes some kind of Withstand ability. I'm going to work on some different generic abilities for my characters in my game, but you unlock these as you level up, which is one thing it doesn't clarify in here. You have to like read into it really far, and the Supers game that was a superhero game built using this system didn't have that. I don't think it had that explicitly stated. And because I don't think it had that explicitly stated when you level up. This is the Supers game. Yeah, this is after. Yeah, this just lets them increase dots. It doesn't. That's all that does. But I'm gonna be doing dots and HP and gaining new things because I want leveling up to be important. So an ability is a combination of 2 skills. And then what you do is you add up the number of ranks you have between those 2 skills and you roll that many of die. And each roll that meets or beats the difficulty counts as 1 success. So if you're doing something against success 4 and you're combining 2 rank 3 skills, you're rolling 6 dice against that rank 3 ability. Against that, you're rolling 6 dice against that 4 difficulty. Now, you can only use each skill once to create an ability, which is why you end up with 4 abilities. Yeah. Well, this one you've got plenty of combinations, but each character only gets 4, and instead of like presetting the abilities, I'm going to let the players design their abilities whenever they level up. I just have to figure out how and when they level up. That's one thing that I have to nail down. Then you get powers. A power is a combination of 2 abilities. An ability is a combination of 2 skills. A power is a combination of 2 abilities. The power somehow needs to incorporate aspects of both abilities. It should be powerful. And these are the things that are like only achievable by the most powerful beings in the world. Like these are like the pinnacle of power, right? But the thing is, so you choose when you gain a power, you choose one skill from each ability and add up the ranks of those. So it's still only a max of 8. But what this means is when you're designing your character, you don't have to instantly put your 2 strongest stats into your first ability, because you can split your 2 strongest stats between 2 abilities and then combine those for your power, which gives you a lot of space for diversification. Now, this is technically an optional rule in the base game, but I'm making this a core part of the game. And this is what you're going to get at level 8, which is an ultimate attack that is something super huge, where you take 2 powers, which you're only going to have 2 powers. That's hilarious, Nabiru. Yeah, that could work. And you put your powers together, and you create one ultimate. So this is like your big ultimate super duper move. And this is like world breaking, world shaking narrative power. And this is like your final battle kind of power. And this is the one that gets to break all the rules, where you get to add 4 skills of your choice, any 4 skills of your choice. Now, I would say that, well, technically the 2 powers are going to be made up, because each power is made up of 2 abilities, and each ability is made up of 2 skills. So yeah, it's going to be any 4 skills of your choice that you combine, and you roll those against the difficulty. So that means you're going to have a max of 16. So that's twice as powerful as a regular power. This is huge. This is not the thing you use on a grunt. This is the kind of thing you earn at the end of the game. So this is the part, I bet you do. I bet you could, Nabiru. You could break the world. So this is the part that I'm still undecided on, right? How I'm going to level up. So in the Supers game I read, it had a thing where, after you fail 6 times, you level up. So it's marking like as you fail in order to reward you for attempting and failing, right? So that way you still get something for failing. I'm just worried that over the course of a game, someone is going to fail so many times they're going to level up mid-game. So I'm thinking might be 6 is too arbitrary of a number. Everything in this game is 8. So maybe after you fail 8 times. Ooh, I like that. I like that idea. I don't like this when you hit 0 health. That bugs me. Because you shouldn't be hitting 0 health. Not in a magical girl game, at least. So it's funny, this talks about not having robust combat designs in this, but it's still pretty strong. Like, it's still pretty good. Like, as written, it's still a pretty good combat system. I'm tweaking it for my purposes, but I think it definitely has potential. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think it had potential. So, when it comes to damage, whenever you beat every time you roll, instead of counting successes, every success against the enemy's defense is 1 damage you deal. So then your basic attack using one of your skills is going to deal a max of 4 damage. Your abilities and powers are going to deal a max of 8 damage, and your ultimates are going to deal a max of 16 damage. And then if you ever get 0 successes on an enemy defense, not only do you fail, but the enemy gets to retaliate with something, so you could possibly get hit back. I'm not using this alternate damage system where like you just add the dice up, because then you have to keep track of some really crazy HP, and I don't want this to be too crunchy. And so, but then when it comes to health, 8 health is a good starting point. I'm going to do a thing where like NPCs and base humans are going to have 4 health, whereas the magical people are going to have 8 health to start with at level 1. And then as you level up, I'm going to have you gain extra health. I don't know if it's going to be... I don't know if it's going to be gain 1 health or if it's going to be gain like might health. Might do gain might health. I know that's pulling from D&D about like what you do with con, but like it would reward you for investing in might. So the strong characters get to feel stronger. Whereas the magical characters will feel like, you know, the casters, because I mean there's all kinds of magical girls. There's like the melee magical girls that are like mystic knights. And there's the beam spam magical girls that jump around from rooftop to rooftop firing a barrage of beams. You know, there's all kinds of magical girls. Now, I saw something in fantasy, in the fantasy emergate that I really liked. And that was, if you take damage after you hit 0 health, you mark 1 step closer to retirement. After you hit, and that stat never goes down. And then after you hit 8 steps closer to retirement, you not level up. You choose to have the character either die or to give up being a magical girl. And I like that system. Some people like to do it where like getting hit whenever you're below 0 is going to like be how you level up. But like I don't like that because it rewards the characters getting beat up. And magical girls, they do get roughed up a bit. But like they normally stay in control of the situation a lot of the time. At least in the magical girl anime I watch. This is the whole stuff with the chessboard. They even say in here, the person who made this game system said they haven't tested it yet. And they're not sure how well this is going to work. Yeah, Silva. This one's fun. Combo move. Each unit uses one skill, and then they do a combo move. So it's essentially like, combo moves I'm going to incorporate as well, because see, combo moves serve this a really special purpose, right? Because I'm going to be using a token system. Ooh, yeah, token system to reward the players. That's actually really good. Oh, so that way the player gets something every time they roll the dice. But a combo move is going to be using a skill and not using an ability, a power, or an ultimate, so it's not going to cost any tokens. But it's going to be as powerful, damage dealing wise, or as effective with as many successes and all that stuff as an ability or a power. So it'll be a way to, like, especially at level 1, it'll be really important. And the difference is going to be, I'm going to let the players come up with combo moves on the fly. You can make up a combo move in the moment, right? Or maybe train for it and practice a combo move that you plan to use together, which can give a lot of creativity for builds. This one, I don't like. Well, it's not that I don't like it, I just don't think it fits what I want to do. So a ceiling roll is if you're using a power, and you're rolling not to activate the power, but you're rolling to control the power. Like if it's like a werewolf transformation or something, and you're rolling to keep it from running out of control. And on that one, instead of trying to meet or beat the difficulty, you're trying to roll under the difficulty. You're trying to get under the difficulty in order to control the power. And this one is like you have your ultimate, and then whenever your ultimate is active, whatever ability is going off for your ultimate, whether if it's some kind of an extended ability, in order to keep your ultimate from running out of control, you have to keep doing some kind of a ceiling roll in order to stay in control and then decide what happens if you fail. But I don't like the ceiling rolls, at least not for this build. I think they could work for some things, but I don't like them for this game I'm working on. So I'm not gonna build. I'm gonna build the 8 skills, right? But I'm not gonna build the abilities, and I'm not gonna build the powers, and I'm not gonna build the ultimates. I'm gonna give the players freedom to design those as they level up. I was debating doing this because this one seemed really interesting. Which is where I make. This is one I was toying with. I was toying with doing, and it was where you create 4 classes, and then each class gets 4 moves that are the abilities, right? And then the players choose to take levels in those classes, which gives them their abilities. But that doesn't generate all of the combinations of abilities, because it can make 28 abilities. So you would need 7 classes in order to make all of the abilities. And that's just not a cool number. And I was like, you know what? because I was thinking like I could define all the different types of magical girls, right? And then just come up with abilities. Yeah, that's why I'm creating the 8 skills. Right now I'm just going over the base system. I'll go over what I have so far in a little bit once I finish going over this. Because I want the characters, I want leveling up to feel important. Because like this isn't just a combat simulation. You're not just getting a new attack. You get an ability you can use to solve a variety of problems, right? So this is the token system. Every time you roll for anything and you generate successes, not only will the successes count towards success of the skill, but every success will generate a token. And then skills, your basic skills cost 0 tokens, abilities cost 1 token, powers cost 3 tokens, and ultimates cost 5 tokens. I'd probably say that like the tokens don't carry over from one session to the next. Like over the course of a session, you may have different combats, or you may have different scenes where you're interacting and fulfilling different challenges and building different tokens. Well, I think that's where... So you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Nabiru. They could just attempt a lot of really easy actions. And I think that's where it's going to come down to the game master. And there has to be some kind of like acting in good faith kind of thing, right? Where there's another thing where like if you're rolling for something, failure should matter. If you're rolling, there should be consequences for failure, and the success should be important. So if someone says, I'm trying to identify that bird outside, right? Unless it's unless this character has experience with bird watching and knowing different birds, and identifying that bird is somehow significant to their powers or to the situation in some way, shape, or form, I probably wouldn't let them roll on it. And that's where it comes down to, like, as game master having adjudicating properly and saying, listen, you're rolling when it's important, because then you don't want the players doing a bunch of like really silly 2 difficulty rolls to stack up tokens. Also, that would just get time consuming. Goodness gravy. Like, can you imagine being like, I wanna use this skill to clean the mud off my shoe, and then taking up time rolling and counting? Spend an entire day fishing. Oh my gosh. I'm iffy about the tokens, because in order to limit the number of tokens you build up, I want to say the tokens don't go from one session to the next, right? I'm treating them kind of like hero points you used to earn in Mutants and Masterminds. Well, still do if you play. Where like, you You earn them over the course of the session, and you have to spend them that session, or else you lose any unspent ones at the end of the session. Which also encourages the players to resolve their threats and their big challenges. Really like in an efficient manner, because if it drags over to the next session you're starting with 0 tokens, so you're back to using basic attacks. But you do bring up a really good point that is going to be after something that I have to make note of. I'm going to have to make note of in my notes to be like, hey, if it's not consequential to the game, if it's not consequential to the game somehow, don't let them roll for it. Don't count it as successes or failures. Ooh, that could also be an interesting challenge for the game master as well. If someone rolls for something really silly, like I want to identify the bird outside my window, that could create an interesting game moment where the player may rack up tokens, right? Identifying the bird if they have a bird watching skill, if they have training in watching birds, right? But then that leaves it up to the game master to make that bird relevant to the story and somehow. Or in your example, if someone spends an entire day off screen fishing in order to rack up tokens, just be like, I'm going to go fishing and use my might skill to go fishing. Also, if you're trying to rack up abilities, rack up tokens, you'd use skills. But skills, you're not racking up more than 4 tokens at a time. You know what? Oh my gosh, that's so frustrating. You know what, Nabiru? You're right. You're absolutely right. This is a D8 system, and everything in this system is all about 8s. So we're going to say, you can only have 8 tokens in order to just nip that in the bud. You don't have to have any silly situations where like the GM's gonna be like, come on, don't goof around. Because if they wanna do silly rolls to rack up to 8 tokens, right? Outside of combat, they're gonna spend that 8 tokens. And then I don't have to say the tokens reset every session. And as people need to use their powers or ultimates in order to accomplish things, they're going to spend their tokens. It also means failing hurts really bad, but that's where the XP comes in. All right. So everything after this is where the person Taitnomaki expresses their character builds and gives example character builds. Now I'm going to show you what I've been working on. Okay. So this is what I've been working on so far. I've been bouncing around with a lot of different things. So normal humans have a defense of 2 and 4 health, right? Magical people start with 4 defense and 8 health. Monsters start with 5 defense and 10 health. Right? So the monsters have slightly above average. Actually, going 5 or 6. Anyway, and the mechanic I thought up that really made me lean into this is this mechanic here about how to increase defense. Well, so I was trying to figure out, how do I set defense? How do I increase defense? The Supers Emerge game had this mechanic where every time you were attacked, you rolled a d8 and that was your defense. And that just felt way too wildly varying. And it felt like it was swinging way too hard. Especially because you couldn't influence that in any way. That there was no skill that you could rank up. There was nothing you could do to make that defensive stat go any better. So like there was no decisions the characters could make. It was just completely random. I didn't like that feel for it. And by the way, when I say this, I'm not saying like to bash the Supers Emerge game, because it was definitely very interesting and it gave me a lot of really great ideas that I'm definitely, like, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have gotten to this point, right? I've been taking inspiration from a few different games, but moving on. So my idea I had was that you could use any skill, ability, power, or ultimate to increase your defense, right? So if someone wants to play a tanky character, they can spend an action to roll to increase their defense. Well, then I was like, how do you set the difficulty? What's the difficulty in that situation? And then I was like, holy cow, that's it. Their current defense is the difficulty. So that means as your defense gets higher, it becomes harder and harder to increase it. It becomes harder and harder to increase it. And it becomes risky because, as you see here, whenever you roll, you count your successes like you would any other roll. 0 successes, your defense goes down by 1. You failed in some way and you made yourself more vulnerable. 1 success is success at a cost. Your defense goes up by 1, but it goes back down by 1 the next time you get hit with something. 2 successes, complete success. Your defense goes up by 1 and it stays up by 1 until something decreases it. And this can stack if you want to spend multiple turns powering up your defenses. And 3+ successes, your defense goes up by 2 and stays that way until something decreases it. Now, with magical people starting at 4 defense, that means barring anything else, if you got a crit, you crit success twice, spending your turn increasing your defenses, and you would then reach the max, which is that defense can never go beyond 8. Then abilities can passively increase defense against specific types. Okay, passively. Oop. Whereas powers can just passively flat increase defense. These powers are like the big stuff. If you want to spend an entire power on a defensive power, considering you only get 2 powers, so if you want to spend one of your 2 powers on a defensive power, you can passively increase defense with that power. I am okay with that. Then we set the range up in range bands. Close, near, far, very far out of threat. Close is your ideal melee range. Extra difficulty for range attacks, barring that from D&D, because trying to fire range attacks while someone's in your face is difficult. Near, you're out of range from melee, unless the melee has a special ability that lets it go fire from near. And you're at an ideal range for most range attacks. Close is 1 movement wide band. Near is also 1 movement wide. Far, you're out of range of most range attacks, but some long-ranged abilities and things can go off in the far range if you're far range from something. If you have something that's specifically designed to be far range, it can go off at far range. That's a 3 movement wide band. Now, what it means by wide is how much movement it takes to cross it. So, close, it takes... So, to go across the close band, it takes 1. So, to leave close, to go from close to near, you spend 1 movement. To go from near to close, you spend 1 movement. Actually... 0 movement, because that's not a band, that's a strip. That's like the edge of the near band. But yeah, you spend 1 movement to go from close to near, spend 1 movement to go from near to close. I'll record it as 1 just for simplicity's sake. Far is 3 movements wide. That means if you enter the far range, or if you're trying to run away, crossing the far range, you have to spend 3 movement. I'll get to how much movement you have in a second. Then very far is you are almost out of range. Only like ultimate abilities and some very special things can affect from here, and that's a 5 movement wide band. So that's a very big range. That's a very big range of area. And then there's out of threat, which is where you're just not even in the combat. You're just not even in the situation whatsoever. You need GM permission for anything to affect something at out of threat range, and that's just everything beyond very far. Anyway, so that's what I came up with range, because I really like range bands, and I've never used them accurately, but I like the idea of being able to do theater of the mind in a very concise and smooth manner. Because whenever we do theater of the mind in my Wednesday D&D game, that's essentially what we do. It's like, how many movements is it going to take me to get there? Well, yeah, you can get there. Well, this way it's like, okay, how far are they? Are they close? Are they near? Are they far? Or are they very far from me? So then you just know, okay, I need to move this much in order to get to that threat. Or I need to back up this much in order to get away from that threat. Because some situations might be chase scenes, where your goal is to get out of threat from an enemy. So you have to cross that, where they're in close with you. So you have to spend 1, then another 3. My brain is frying right now. Let me look something up real quick. Short. Okay. Okay. What is this? This is the. I was looking because I know range bands is a thing, but this is the. Oh, this is the Star Wars game. I've played the Star Wars game before. I should probably define what each range band is. Is this? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Technically, it's got 4 bands in one strip. Well, it's got 4 bands that are actually in threat. 1, 1, 3. I know I'm not grasping this properly. I know I'm not grasping this properly because there's a way to describe this, and when I'm trying to describe it, it's tripping up in my head. Okay. Let me expand on this. Let's go this way. There we go. Boom. Okay. So it's from near to far in any direction takes 1. Okay. Okay. Cool. That works better in my head. Okay. There we go. Firing a ranged ability when anyone is close to you is done with 1 extra difficulty. Okay. Actually, let me put that on separate lines. This is what we're doing tonight. We're working on this. I'll just say things. Ranged when someone's close to you is done with one extra difficulty. Okay. I haven't even gotten to the skills yet. Hold on. Wait, let me do something real quick before I forget. I don't know, I might take out that rule about tokens carrying over between sessions. Don't know. I'm thinking like if you have a heavy RP session with like a lot of low rolls, so you build up tokens, but then you have a really high difficulty fight the next session. You know, you can use all those good rolls from all those saved up tokens from the last session to power your abilities in order to get you started so you can start strong. Okay. Okay, and Okay. So with that set up there, if you can have 8 tokens at a time, that means if you walk in with 8 tokens at max level, you can open with your ultimate ability. Which might just end the fight right there. But powers are going to be where it's at because those are going to be bigger. And having... Yeah, pretty much. Like, I could see a level 8 builds of this being intense. That's also true. Ooh, yeah. If you had a boss with a power that could steal the enemy's tokens, force the enemy to use basic attacks, force them to use their basic attacks to try to rebuild their energy. I probably shouldn't call them tokens. What should I call them? Should I call them mana? Oh my gosh. You think tokens is too used of a phrase? Should I call them like mana or power? No, power's already used. I gotta think of something else to call them besides tokens. What do you think, Nabiru? You think token seems fine? Okay. Mm-hmm. Might, a mundane skill. Okay. So that'll reward characters for building might, because might's essentially like strength and con rolled together. I'm worried about that because I'm worried if character health goes up, that enemies are just going to stop being a threat. That's my biggest worry with having them gain extra health. Like, you can throw things that are higher, that are more dangerous. We're going to leave, since this is still a testing document, we're going to say question mark health. That's also true. That's also true, Nabiru. You bring up a good point, Nabiru. Yeah, that's true, Nabiru. So gain 1 ability, power, ultimate. Must use 2 unused abilities to make a power. Must use 2 powers to make an ultimate. Which means, theoretically, you could go all 4 abilities, then the 2 powers, and then the ultimate. Or you could go or you could go ability, power, ability, power, ultimate. Or some combination in there. But you bring up a good point, Nabiru. But doing it like this gives a lot of freedom. So this way, every time you roll the dice, you're gaining something. You are either generating tokens to power your stuff, or you are generating EXP. Whether you succeed or fail, it is going to reward rolling things. It's kind of like how Powered by the Apocalypse works, but that does a little bit smoother because like all of the abilities are already chosen in that game, because you have playbooks that give you all of the abilities. Well, generally most of those games already have playbooks with all the abilities chosen. Okay. So it's leveling up. What, this? This sounds amazing? Thank you. Or are you saying having all the abilities chosen for you sounds amazing? Or like you choose between a set number of abilities. Yeah. Exactly. And it's trying to reinforce this idea that you succeed by trying and failing. At least you tried. albeit you're going to be rolling a lot of dice with this game. As you're going to be rolling dice pools, so that's going to be interesting. Okay. What's your other strategy, Nabiru? I'm curious to hear what you have to say. That's also true. Can have enemies with very specific traits. The Fantasy Emerge 8 had this very cool random enemy generator that was really cool. It was like, what was it? It was like you roll 3 d8s and then you assign 1 to their health, 1 to their defense, and 1 to the ranks of some ability that they would use in order to fight with. And then depending on what you rolled on the d8 that you used for them to fight with, it would give them a different extra power based on a chart. Oh, that sounds frustrating, Nabiru. We'll say regular basic ranged attacks. Can't do it. Right combo of elements, characters, and the only way, yeah. I think because I was trying to define the band, it wasn't coming together in my head. Ooh, that's another thing I want to keep track of, because it's not just about combat. Too close people can talk quietly. Secret actions together. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. 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 Oh, geez. My bit rate's dropping. Okay, I think we're back to normal. Okay, so okay. Okay. So we've got the range band set up, which I think that's going to be a key part of this. So definitely borrowing ideas from the. Does anybody else besides Star Wars, TTRPG do range bands? I know I've seen it in the Star Wars TTRPG, but I don't think I've ever seen it anywhere else. Eee. I feel like I've seen it in some other things. They probably call it a different thing. Okay. All right. So we've got the range bands defined. Got the tokens. Got EXP. This stuff I'm going to mess with in a second. Got the defenses designed. Now to get to the skills. I want there to be a differentiation between humans and magical people. Humans have mundane skills. Magical people have both mundane and magical skills. And monsters have some number of skills. Humans might have mundane versions of magical skills, but it's not strong enough to resist the darkness of the monsters, so it's not worth recording. My four mundane skills are might, agility, intellect, and awareness. Might is like strength and con, agility is like dex, intellect is int, and awareness is like wisdom and kind of charisma rolled together. Then the four magical skills are charm, soul, courage, and magic. Actually, I'm really debating switching charm and awareness. Really debating switching charm and awareness. Also, soul and magic kind of overlap, which is where I'm kind of bugging out right now. But like magic could also be arcane. Well, yeah, theoretically. I mean, since you gain might HP, a strength-based magical girl is going to be powering up their might. Like a min-maxy character. Oh, also, that was the other thing I wanted to do. Oh, okay. That was another thing I wanted to do. Blah, blah, blah. Actually, this should go up with the movement. Okay, to make additional movement. Okay, we're doing good here. Okay. Okay, there we go. Got that. So this is like dealing with the difficulty of using powers to gain extra movement. One action, one movement. Which means I can get rid of this. Everybody gets one. Ugh. Okay. Okay, there we go. I like that. Two is like it's non-trivial because you're using an extra ability. Okay. There we go. So that creates a movement system where everybody has one movement. Take one action, one movement. Um, okay. Hmm. How do I determine turn order? I could do the Lancer way where players choose who goes first. Um, but I want this to be a thing where there's going to be more players than there are enemies. Or the enemies are really weak and getting cut down quickly because it's going to be narrative combat. So I don't want there to be a bunch of enemies. I mean, I guess the enemies could use combo moves, but like, um, trying to think about how I want to determine who goes first. I was thinking an agility roll. An agility roll against so what I was on the fence with, right, with doing this was I was debating doing um an agility roll that where you were rolling against your current defense. So then higher defense characters would be moving slower in the turn. But like that just feels like punishing marshals, and like I see that enough in D&D. Um Punishing strength-based characters. So I would say use any skill. Give the players the option to use any skill. I mean, I could also do the deck of cards thing. I could do the deck of cards. So the deck of cards thing is where you take a regular 52 card deck. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Hello. It's funny, my roommate was just down here and he just asked me if I want the light off. And I thought he said, do I want the light on? So I said yes, and he turned the light off. I'll just turn on my other backlight. I should be fine. No, you know what? Go do an alternating turn order. This one of the designs of this is for it to be simple, for it to be really for it to be easy to pick up and play. That's the idea that I'm going for here, right? So we're just gonna keep it as simple as possible. No needing a deck of cards. Like, in order to play this, you need up to 8 d8s, a sheet of paper, a pencil, and other people to play with. Maybe something to use as tokens, or you just mark tokens on your character sheet and then spend them as you go. So no need for deck of cards, no need for doing a lot of complicated math for skill rolls. Okay. Each side chooses who goes once. So that means the players get to choose when they go, and then the GM chooses when the enemies go. The players will choose when their allies go, if they have any human allies or other people they're trying to rescue. Okay. So what have we defined so far? This stuff I still haven't messed with yet. We've got defense, we've got range bands, we've got movement between the range bands, we've got turn order, we've got powering things with tokens. Got EXP. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to say here, plan your next level up ahead of time so that you're good to go if you level up mid-session. So, like, ideally, you build your character and then you plan your first level up. You plan your first ability. So that way, if you unlock your first ability mid-session, it's like you've unlocked a new ability through your struggles. So you must use 2 unused skills. So you have to use 2 unused skills to make an ability. Have to use 2 unused abilities to make a power, and you have to use 2 powers. I would say unused, but it's like you're only ever going to have 1 ultimate. So you can have no overlap. You can't use the same skill for 2 abilities. So first time you level up, you're going to take an ability. Second time you level up, you're going to take an ability. Third time you level up, you have to choose if you want to take a power or if you want to gain another ability. And so on. So it gives players freedom to design how their things work. It's funny, as I'm working on this design document, I'm like saving as I go because I don't want to lose anything as I go. All right, Silva, good night. Thanks for being here. It was great having you. I might replace awareness with social. But I like this breakdown. I think we have all the basic pieces of this game. I think it's ready for playtesting, which is crazy that we went from like in a day I've slapped together this game that looks like, oh, I have to work on designing enemies. That is one thing I want to borrow from the fantasy uh from the fantasy what you who's it? Uh Emergate Fantasy is the bad guy generator, because that's actually really cool. Okay. Because I was just going to generate bad guys as I went, and I was thinking the bad guys would have like higher stats, right? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Five, yep. This one does interesting things where like it lets you choose between 3 of their skills in order to do your starting stamina. Oh yeah, I gotta do combo moves. I probably let the combo moves be like something gained through roleplay. Spend 8 dot. Yeah, okay. I like this world generator, and these classes are interesting. Though I find their magic system, yeah, they can be quite fun. This magic system is really interesting. Where instead of gaining an ability, you craft 2 minor spells that would then use the 2 skills that you would combine for that ability. So you pick 2 skills, and each one becomes the basis of a spell of some kind. This does the whole chessboard thing. Yeah, something like that. Where is... Yeah, something like that, Nabiru. Where is the equipment? Why does this have the character builds before we get to the equipment stuff? Here we go. Enemy unit generator. There's this. Stamina is the health. 1 to its defense, and the final to its highest skill, which would be for basic attacks. And then have this stuff added to it based on what you choose. They use stamina in place of health, and then this is the boss unit generator, which I like. Final 2 dice to units' highest skills, which were then used for basic attacks, and 1 ability of the GM's design. And then you gain special effects based on what you rolled for that, based on what the ranks are in that ability. And basically the higher you roll, or the stronger the ability, the more of a detriment the extra effect is. Like once you get into the 7 or 8 range, stuff gets really rough. But like it's getting like down here at the bottom, it's very interesting. Then they play with equipment. Which I'm not a big fan of using equipment for magical girls, because like I feel like your magical equipment should be something that you generate as part of your powers, you know what I mean? Also, once they start getting into this like damage reduction stuff with the armor, I was like, I don't know. So it's got a lot of ideas, but I like this character generator. My worry, like depending on what you roll, like if you roll like 2 6s, you could have a boss monster with an ability that's gonna hit like a truck. And I don't know if I like the random generator. I mean, this is supposed to be random, right? This is supposed to be if you like don't have anything planned and your players run into a boss that you just haven't planned, and so you can just quickly generate one. Which, you know what, that's fine. But that's not what I'm gonna roll with. Yes, Truck Coon. So what I'm working with, right? Let me show you what I was working with before I read this. I was thinking the monsters would start with 5 defense, so they're harder to hit, and 10 health, so they've got more health. And I'm thinking like the magical girls versus the monsters. And maybe the big monsters might have minions that aren't as hard to hit. But like with 10 health, even a max strength power isn't going to take down a monster in one hit. You're going to have to whittle it down. I want to put a question mark here because I'm not sure. I'm not sure about monsters. So the basic premise, let me write down the basic premise. I should have written down the basic design premise here. Maybe it's an ancient evil that's suddenly awoken. Magical people have been chosen to resist this threat. Hmm. Okay. So basic magical girl stuff. Very basic magical girl stuff. Mm-hmm. Sailor Moon was one enemy, bunch of henchmen. Yeah, Pretty Cure, it was henchmen trying to revive a great evil. Yeah, there are plenty of unique and odd ones, Nabiru. Yeah, that was an interesting one about Kill la Kill. Kill la Kill would definitely be might based magical girls with lots of physical striking and melee. Yeah, I'm thinking there might be some element here of like having normal humans that they have to rescue. Some believe original Pretty Cure to be the strongest. The power flowed through punches and kicks, then a big beam blast instead of magical weapons. Okay. Hmm. This doesn't tell me anything new. That's a basic monster. That's the kind of grunt monster they'd fight off. Like at lower level, like that's gonna be consistently deadly. That could work, Nabiru. That would be interesting. I'm actually gonna grab this table from Fantasy Emerge. I like this table from Fantasy Emerge. Yeah, you bring up a good point. It is important to have like starter mobs. I don't know why it says that it can stack. How would it stack? Yeah, you're right about that, Nabiru. So this ability is going to be a rank 5 ability. So it's not going to be super strong, but it's going to have some kind of versatility. Remembering the difference between magical girl and magical world with girls. Yeah, that's also a very true thing. Like, I don't know if this would count as a magical girl, if this is counting as like magical world. Well, this isn't a magical world. Like, this is a mundane world with like magical girls. So with this design, right? Magical Girl's transformation scenes reused over and over. Its special attacks, weird enemies popping up out of nowhere, causing havoc. Yeah, that is it. That is it. Like, okay, so let me make an example monster. Shadow Blob. This isn't threatening at all. What? I have no annoying long henshin scene. Not true magical girl. Okay. All right. Do I have to write rules for them to have a transformation sequence, Nabiru? Is that a thing I have to do? Do I have to write rules for a transformation sequence and say that they go from that they can only use their magical skills in their magical girl form? Is that what I got to do, Nabiru? Is that what I have to do? Well, I'm not making a world. I'm making a system. So I'm making a system that other people can use to run their worlds, Nabiru. That is true. That's actually not a bad little enemy to have moving in a swarm. A little swarm of little shadow blobs. They break on one hit. Any basic ability will break them. But I would give them an extra trait. Okay, now you got me thinking. Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious, Nabiru. That's why I can't make it a roll. That's exactly why I can't make it a roll. Let me go up here. Okay, skills. Okay. You made me do it, Nabiru. You made me do this. I want you to know that if this ends up being terrible, this is all your fault. That sounds about right, Nabiru. Okay. So, actually, hold on. Okay, I've got to balance this properly. Look what you've made me do. Hold on. I know we're running late. This is normally around the time I end stream, but I'm just in the groove of it. You did this. You did this, Nabiru. So you could theoretically could theoretically like pump might and awareness, and you could have like this really buff magical girl who's arguably just as deadly transformed as she is non-transformed. Make an ability. Like you could have theoretically have a magical girl that just pumps the mundane skills and then builds the 2 abilities and then the 1 power off of the mundane skills. And then even if they get caught flat-footed, we'll just wreck shop. You could theoretically do that. Hold on. Holding access to mundane skills. Okay. There. Human form, magical defense -2. Magical girl health -4. Okay. So then transforming essentially gives them 2 extra defense, 4 extra health, and access to all their abilities. There we go. Okay. All right. There. So then as the players are going through their challenges or what have you from the GM, they can face challenges in their human form too. But then I have to have the ultimate caveat. Okay. Unless someone sees them transform, no one can tell who they are if they see them in magical person form. There's some kind of a glamour on them. No one can recognize them unless they watch them transform, because then it breaks the glamour. But yeah, this little shadow blob. That's just funny. Yes. Yeah, I had to do the thing. there's a lot of different combinations of things to make monsters. And you can, I don't know how you would balance. It's going to take some practice in order to properly balance out threats. Oh, I think they wrote this. That's what it meant when it said this can stack up to 3 times. Okay. Okay. Slight typo, but I see what the person meant to. All right, let me get this down, then we're probably going to call it here for tonight. I'll keep working on this through the night, but we'll probably call the stream here because this has been a pretty long stream of me going over game making stuff. Okay. If you want the enemy to be stronger, it means magic grows close to unlocking new power, or a new teammate's gonna join. Yep. That's also true. Stronger enemies always get stronger first. Yeah, that's true. When you see the stronger enemies like start kicking around the main character, you know they're about to power up. Bug me. There we go. They can stack. I'm going to modify this and say it's immune to 1 status condition or damage type. Okay. I want to see what this looks like, actually. This is actually curious to me. Big 8s. Okay. Okay. Okay, so what have we got here? What traits here? Ooh, that's going to hit hard. Got 6 health, 8 defense. It's going to be nearly impossible to hit. Well, if I don't have it with tokens, if I don't have it using tokens, then there's no reason for it to not spam its abilities. Yeah, it's gonna need tokens. Okay. Eight defense means this thing's gonna be nearly impossible to defeat. And it's gonna hit like a truck. This is like an end game boss monster. But with its reckless swing, it's gonna decrease its defense by 1 for every failure. So it can it opens itself up, so that creates, actually that works great. It creates an opening. Actually is really good. Its first swing is going to hit like a truck. It'll build up a bunch of tokens. Players will try hitting it and have a lot of trouble hitting it. And then when they can't hit it, then they'll build up a lot of XP on that fight, though. That reminds me. I want to set a level because I don't want characters like skipping levels because of difficult fights. I don't know if that's a rule, but I'm going to make that a rule. Can only gain 1 level per session. I don't know what that looks like. Because over the course of a session, you're going to be rolling a lot of dice. But you only get it for failures. That's going to need to be play tested. Okay. Okay. Well, he's rolling 16 dice. That's as much as an ultimate. I'm reading this right. Yep. This is dumb. Because you can just straight up make an unkillable monster. Like, if I didn't put this limitation in here for the reckless swing, like if I didn't put this limitation in here for the reckless swing, this thing would be an unkillable behemoth. The players would need to use an ultimate in order to bring it down. Because it's hitting with the strength of an ultimate every turn. This is bad design. This is bad game design. Yeah, this is bad game design. That's gonna kill someone. Reckless Rage. Don't know what they're rolling against. Let me take a look at something. This is giving me an idea. I think since you're adding it on yourself, you roll against your own defense. That's funny. What is this one? Okay. That's a cool boss. Then you get the rage. But how do the players hit it? Okay. I like this better. This is actually good. This is actually playable game design and doesn't break the game. Berserker General, 6 health, 8 defense, 8 might, 8 magic. Might plus magic is reckless rage. It targets itself, so it's going to roll against its own defense, which is going to be hard. What's the chances of success here? I don't want to do the math. Hold on, give me a second. I know I should have ended already, but like now I'm curious. Okay, 1 out of 8 is 0.125. And then wow. So you're looking at of this ability, Reckless Rage is looking to add two rage dice. Might have to do something about that. Of the 16 it rolls, it's going to be 2 rage dice, which is only going to drop the defense by 2 to make it 6. But then it's going to, next turn, basic attack, spend a dice, go up to 7, basic attack, spend a dice, go back up to 8. Yeah? I mean, it does the whole low health, high defense thing. I might drop the defense by 2 to make it 6. Might drop the defense by 2 to make it 6, because that makes it more playable. If I drop it to 6, then 6, 7, 8, so that's 3 out of 8. Okay. If I drop it down to 6, it's likely to power itself up by 6, which will drop its defense to 0, and then its defense will slowly go up as it spends rage dice. Okay. You know, no, this is an extreme design. No. There we go. There we go. That's going to be really good. And it's going to take testing. The Reckless Rage, I think, is hilarious. Because it's rolling 16 dice. You know what? No. We're go big or go home. I realize this is an example character and not one I'm actually going to use, and there's almost no chance that I'm ever going to run this game with the way my schedule looks, but I still want to finish making it. Actually, uh, 'cause I'm just treating it like a stance, right? Max of 8 rage dice. So if he wants to spend a turn maxing out his rage dice, there we go. So if he wants to spend a turn powering up while the players try to find ways to hit him or to bypass his defenses, he's only got 6 health, but he hits like a truck. It's actually not a bad boss monster. Adding a way for the players to actually hit is, I think, important. Because at 8, for an average player, because your average thing is going to be looking, you'd get like 1 damage off with a fully powered up either combo attack or move of some kind. Outside of an ultimate, a fully powered up thing is going to get 1, like on average, 1 damage. So like, I don't know, my math might be wrong, but it's rough. All right. This has been an interesting night. Oh, okay. I want to run this Berserker General. Like, late game players will be able to tear this thing apart. Okay. Well, this is like a late game boss. With 8 defense, even with only 6 health, with 8 defense and doing 8 damage per attack, that is, well, not 8 damage, doing 8 dice per attack, that is a late game boss. Players are going to need to use powerful abilities. Like, this is like final boss level boss type. An early game boss would probably be like all 5s. Like Like all 5s or all 4s. Yeah, maybe all 4s. All 4s with a damaging ability. All right, let me design that. That's going to be the last thing I design before we end for the night, okay? I don't know what to call this one. Mid-game boss, Spear and Shield. What do I want to use for the... For courage. Okay, so this is 4 is +1 health. That brings us up to 6 health, which is pretty good. Brave Strike. Brave Strike. It says long range because it's a lance, it's a spear. Can reach targets that are near as well. Increase defense for every failure of this attack for 1 turn. Okay. So it strikes with the shield out. for 8, which is powerful. That's boss level attack. And if it hits, it does damage. For every failure, it increases its defense with its shield. Okay. I like this enemy. Yeah, so it can reach close and near enemies. It's got long range spear. And it's poking out from behind the shield. All right. Jeez, what? It is almost 4 hours. This gotta be one of my longest streams I've had in a while. Jeez. I'm sorry, y'all. I know I've just been kind of building this game. And it's not even done yet. I mean, it's at the point where it just needs testing. It needs play testing. I need to copy and format this. Get the rest of the rules, because I've mostly just written down the things I've changed from the base rules. But I just need to copy the could have made an early game boss with all ones. That's funny. That's funny. Okay, this is really the last thing I'm gonna do. I promise. Early game boss. This is funny. Okay. So it's double damage twice. So 2 times, so it stacks. Times 4 damage. That's funny. So it can punch everything at once. That's funny. Okay. Got 1 health. It's got 1 defense. So like anyone can tap it and break it, but its basic attack hits like a truck. like in the early game, if this hits you, it's going to like tear you apart. That's half your starting health at level 1 in one hit as a basic attack. But late game characters will have enough health that they'll just wade through that. These are such boring, well, they're not boring. I think they're flavorful in what they're designed to do. Yeah. Anyway, let's wind down. Alright, so you all have watched me work on game design all night long. Jeez. Holy cow. We are like 5 minutes away, well, 6 minutes away from this being a 4-hour stream. This is my longest stream in a while. I just got rolling. I just got in the zone. Alright. Anyway. I want to say to Nabiru, to Silva, to anyone who watched the stream and just lurked in the background, and anyone who watches the VOD, I want to say thank you. And I want to say that I love all of you and that I believe in each and every one of you. I think that you all are wonderful, unique, special, precious, and important people. I'm grateful that you give me your time, your attention, and your energy every stream. And I think that you're wonderful. I believe that each of you brings a special, unique, one-of-a-kind energy that only you can bring to everything you do. And thank you for sitting through this long stream tonight or watching the VOD whenever you do watch it. I want you to know that I already said I love you, and I believe in all of you. And I think you all make this world a better place just by being in it, and I'm grateful every day to be in a world with you in it. If you're watching this and you want to keep up with what I'm doing on YouTube, you can subscribe if you haven't subscribed already and ding the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever I go live or when I release any new content. I'd ask that you like the stream. It helps the algorithm with pushing it out to more people. And if you want to leave if you're watching the VOD, you have any suggestions, thoughts, ideas, improvements, you feel free to leave them as comments. As long as you're not banned, I will read them. I may not get to all of them, but I will definitely read them. And good night, everybody. Yeah, definitely. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing outside of YouTube, you can follow me on Twitter or join my Discord. Links to both of those are down in the description below. So hope to see you all around. And I don't know when this will be done. I'm like, I was hoping I'd have this more done by the end of tonight, but I mean, I got a lot of stuff done. I just have to format it. I have to format it and put it together. I have so much stuff filled out and put together. It's almost ready for playtesting. Like, again, balancing combat is all that's left. I don't know. Anyway, this is what happens when I get the game making bug. Anyway, next stream will be Monday, 8:30 p.m. EST. Probably a writing stream. We'll see what happens. Good night, everybody.